Soufyan was Claire's second child, born in the early 1980s. Claire had a completely normal pregnancy and a normal first stage of labour, the contraction stage as she was dilating, arduous but normal. The problems really started as she entered the second stage of labour when she was fully dilated.
When I was born, I have brain damage and the cord was around my neck too many times.
My husband thought he was dead, and I think it took an extra few minutes for the paediatrician to arrive to resuscitate him. He wasn't there at the time, so he had an extra few minutes after he was born, again without oxygen, and it took them a long time to resuscitate him.
There was nobody with the skills to intubate him at the time when he needed intubation and to resuscitate him, much as staff at the time tried. They didn't have the skills to do it until the paediatrician arrived, and then he was successfully resuscitated. But by then, the damage had been done.
We never really grasped the idea that anything was wrong until much later, when he really was not developing as he should. And then it became obvious.
He was subsequently diagnosed with cerebral palsy of the dyskinetic type, which means it affects his movement, his limbs and speech in particular. Somewhat unusually in this case, Claire focused for many, many years on dealing with Soufyan's needs rather than thinking about fault. You know, why was Soufyan like this? What could have been done differently? That wasn't something that she focused on until Soufyan was in his late teens, when a chance conversation with a lawyer from Kingsley Napley in, I believe, a social event, meant that made her question, what was the standard of care I received? Should things have happened differently?
She said that she worked for a firm of solicitors who specialised in medical negligence, and would we be happy for her to look into it for us? Would we like her to look into it for us?
What was quite clear from the outset of this case was that Soufyan had the type of cerebral palsy which was caused by a damaging period of hypoxia. What we did was to look at whether any reasonably responsible doctor would have allowed that second stage of labour to have gone on for so long, and should something have been done to expedite delivery. We looked carefully at the CTG trace, which gives you information about what's happening with the baby's heartbeat. The CTG trace only actually ran for an hour. The last half hour, there was no record at all of the baby's heartbeat. Within that, we saw two areas of serious abnormality. There was some recovery in the middle. And we had to look very carefully at whether those abnormalities were sufficient, at least serious, to mean that delivery should have been expedited. And our argument was that yes, there should have been an episiotomy and an instrumental delivery to avoid what became subsequently the damaging period of hypoxia.
Pursuing a claim like this has quite an impact on the family. There's quite a lot to do, quite a lot of paperwork to get through. There's meetings to attend, and there's a lot of things that you have to think back on and recall and write down, and that can be quite a difficult thing to do. It's not easy to sort of recall and remember things that you've almost pushed to the back of your mind.
She had to read all the evidence, come to meetings, hear what happened again and again, and my job, as I saw it, was to make her job as easy as possible. She
would guide us through every part of the claim as it went on. If there was ever anything I needed to ask her, I felt very comfortable to ask her, and she would explain it in a way that I could understand.
What the purpose of what we are doing is to put the claimant back into the position he or she would have been in but for the negligence. And what that means is that we are looking very carefully in minute detail at the financial implications of the care packages, of physio, of OT. Often this will require some involvement of the litigation friend. And so we work together as a team so that the litigation friend, in this case Claire, feels comfortable with the experts, with the appointments with the experts, with the reports that come out, so that her involvement is there but supported.
Going through the claim was quite an education for me. There were meetings to attend with all the various experts and things, and it's quite evident that they are all there for you. They're there for the benefit of your child and your family.
One of the difficulties that you find when you have claimants who have quite a lot of ability as well as quite a lot of disability is actually when you're doing the crystal ball gazing is what is the future going to hold for this person. It's actually not so clear cut as the person who obviously needs 2 nurses 24 hours a day. And with Soufyan, what we had to do was to work very carefully with the family to take Soufyan's own individuality into account.
As a court protection lawyer, my first involvement is generally when we've been presented with medical evidence that says our client lacks capacity to manage their property and affairs. At that point, we know we need to involve the court of protection, and usually we apply to them for the appointment of what's called a deputy. That's the term the court uses for the individual who will manage that person's finances or, in some circumstances, welfare matters on their behalf.
In this firm, we are fortunate to have a whole team of people that deal with deputyship work. And that means that there's continuity from the litigation forwards.
We often become involved towards the end of a claim or even only after it's been finished. In Soufyan's case, that's what actually happened. There was no money available before that point. Now, up to that point, the family and the client have been through an awful lot of stress, and then their circumstances have changed dramatically. It can be a crucial time for them because suddenly they don't have the anchor of the claim to look back to, and they have to think about the future. They have to think about what to do with the money, and that's where we step in and guide them forward. We're responsible for all aspects of his financial affairs, and that's covered matters such as purchasing his property and adapting it, through to investing his funds, through to more mundane matters such as providing him with his weekly spending money, and of course ensuring he has an appropriate care regime so that he can live the life that he wants to live.
He'll receive an allowance once a month from his deputy, and he more or less manages his own money himself. It's one of his steps towards independence. Once the claim was settled, the next step after that was to find a home for Soufyan to live. He needed a lot of space. This one was great because we could adapt it and make it more suitable for him.
This is where it stopped before, wasn't it? And then we built this, didn't we? We got an architect and had it all designed. Yeah.
I like it. I really like it.
Living here, he's in charge of his own life. He's never had this much control on of his own life.
It took us quite a long time to get the right care package in place because we wanted to ensure that it was the right people working with Soufyan. The kind of people that would allow him to live the life that he wants to lead, which is quite a busy and active life, essentially just the same as you and I.
On out most days, I go to drama, cycling, go-karting.
He goes go-karting now. And his carer goes with him and they race each other. They have a whale of a time. He's been on an adventure holiday. He does everything.